Welcome to the Sisterhood of Sweat. Today's guest is Lindsey Schwartz. I'm pretty excited about this guest. I like to watch everybody on Instagram and Facebook and find people that really inspire me. And Lindsey had an event. That was the first notice I took of Lindsey, called Powerhouse Women. And she had one of my favorite guests, Lori Harder. And I was just really intrigued because, as you guys know, Sisterhood of Sweat is all about strong women empowering, achieving together. And so I felt complete alignment with Lindsey's purpose of getting women together to support one another and that we could all rise together. Lindsey founded Powerhouse Women. It's an event and online community which were born out of the belief that women are designed to create, and that when women get into action around their big ideas, the world works better, because it does. Founder Lindsey Schwartz is a wellness entrepreneur and best-selling author of Powerhouse Woman: How to Get Out of Your Own Way, Fulfill Your Unique Purpose, and Live a Powerful Life. After seeing numerous women in her life stop short of pursuing their own entrepreneurial dreams because of fear and self-doubt, she saw the need for more honest conversations about the ups and downs of entrepreneurship in order to show women what they don't have to have it all together to get started. From there, the Powerhouse Women community annual event and now podcasts were born with the motto that we're not meant to do business or life alone. And I love that. I think that's going to be the title of this podcast. We're not meant to do life or business alone. I love that, because I think sometimes as entrepreneurs, we can get out there and feel so alone in our space, and we need the support of other women, and we need not to do life alone, like Lindsey says. So without further ado, welcome Lindsey to the show.
Oh, thanks, Linda. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I'm so excited to have you because I think we're in such alignment on what our purpose is. And one of the things that really struck me in your bio that I really want to start with is when you were seeing women stop short in life because of self-doubt and fear. Did you ever experience this in your life? And why did you start Powerhouse Women?
Yeah, that's such a great question. And yes, I was the first one that I noticed was experiencing self-doubt and fear. And what happened was I started my first business in the wellness industry back in 2010. So this is now going on 9 years. And I was at a point in my life where I was just looking for more fulfillment. I had come from the construction industry. I was in sales. You couldn't imagine a more different life path than what I wanted to transition into, which was really making a difference in people's lives. But I had no experience as an entrepreneur. I had to learn as I went along. And then you know how we tend to be as human beings. We look at everyone else and we think that they have it all together. They know what they're doing. And somehow we missed out on the secret to making this whole thing a success. And I noticed myself doing that. I noticed myself playing small, getting in my own way, out of fear. And despite all of that, I learned by doing. I failed forward. I was willing. I just had this vision that was pulling me forward. And at first the vision was to leave my job because I didn't want to be in the construction industry anymore. But to really create a life of purpose, and one where I was helping people and knew I was making an impact. And after a few years of building that business kind of as my side hustle, I did take it full time. And then it was interesting what happened. You know, people started to notice, people started to make comments like, well, wow, it would be so cool to be my own boss, or I've always thought of starting a business of my own. And when I would ask these, you know, a lot of them women, why they weren't moving forward or what their next step was, in that very next breath, they would list all the reasons why they were scared, or they didn't think they had what it took, or they needed to learn more or get more resources before they could be ready. And it made me sit back and go, wow, don't people know that is what it feels like to build a business? You have no idea what you're doing almost all of the time. And I'm, really figuring this out as I go. But when I looked around, there weren't a whole lot of examples around me in my life of women who were sharing that side of things. Not just sharing, oh, I overcame this challenge 5 years ago and now look at me and look at the life I have, but the ones who are successful and who admit, like, I'm still scared on a daily basis. If I'm really fulfilling my true potential, I'm always going to be leaning into the next thing that challenges me or is forcing me to grow. And I just didn't see a whole lot of honest conversations about that journey. And, it was interesting because I resisted stepping into that idea that maybe I could be one of, and I know there are other women who do, but maybe I could make a difference in that space, because I felt all the same fear and doubt myself. So that was actually when I took on the project of writing the book, Powerhouse Woman, because that project was something I was sure I had no business doing. I was not a writer. I actually had a health and fitness blog for 3 years. You'll get a kick out of this, because like they say in content creation, you should be publishing weekly, consistently putting out content. And I consistently on this blog would publish 1 article per year. So I had 3 articles on this blog, and I was just so afraid. I was so afraid of what other people would think. I was afraid of judgment and criticism. So when the opportunity to write a book presented itself, it was kind of the perfect exercise for me to do the thing that I wanted to empower other women to do, which is lean into the areas where we do feel called to offer our skills and our experience, our message, even when we don't feel like we have what it takes. There was something deep down that said, well, what if I could actually finish this book? And what if it helped someone else? And it absolutely changed my life, leaning into that project and actually following through on a really big idea that I was 99% convinced I had no business pursuing.
Well, what are some ways that women out there that maybe don't feel so powerful in their space can claim some of that power and be more powerful?
That's such a great question. And here's what I've learned. I don't know if this is the case for everyone, but in the moment of taking those first steps, you're not going to feel powerful. You're just not. You're going to feel scared. You're going to feel unsure. And yet, if you actually listen, I think the voices in our minds, I know I sound like a crazy person now, but we all know there's like those voices that are just not that kind to us, that remind us of our biggest fears and our biggest insecurities, even sometimes like bring up our biggest failures. Those ones usually shout. Like those are the voices that are just like, man, it's like the inner mean girl. But deep down, if you really pause and you get quiet, I think that our true purpose is always trying to get our attention, but it's not going to shout. And I think what helped me was actually listening that deep down, I did feel like maybe this message could help someone else. And it was just that little seed of a question. Well, maybe, just maybe, what if I step into this? What could happen? And it took daily practice listening to that voice rather than the fear and the doubt and all the reasons that I could come up with as evidence that I wasn't enough. It was choosing every day to go, okay, I hear you. I hear the doubt. I hear the fear. I've heard that time and time again. There's nothing new. But what if?
Oh my gosh, those are the words that were just coming to my mind. What if? What if you stepped into your purpose? What if you lived the life that is deep down in your heart? What if it works out the way you wanted it to?
Right, exactly. And that was it. Even just that seed of a question helped me take those first few steps while I was scared. And I still felt scared. I ugly cried my way through the first 6 months of writing, because I was just being challenged on such a deep level. But what I can share from the perspective now, I mean, now it's 3 years later, the book, spoiler alert, the book was published, I finished it. And what has come on the other side of stepping into that fear is beyond anything I could have imagined. And have there been more challenges? Absolutely. But I wanted the certainty, and maybe this would help, kind of going back to your question. I wanted certainty that if I took these steps, it was going to work out for me, that something great was going to come on the other side, that everyone would like me. No one would have judgment or criticism, which is just laughable, right?
Yeah.
I wanted the certainty before I was willing to take the leap. And the truth is, I don't think we get that luxury of having any sort of validation, any sort of certainty that a bold step we're about to take is going to work out for us. It requires faith for a reason. It requires faith in whatever higher power you believe in. It requires faith in yourself. And it feels like, this is how I wrote it in the book, and this is still so true to this day. It's like being in a scary movie and you see this thick fog and you just decide to take the first step and you're like, I don't know what's on the other side of this fog, but I'm going for it. But man, what was waiting on the other side, at least in my experience, was so far beyond any of the blessings, any of the opportunities that I could even fathom in my mind before I started stepping into the discomfort. And I hate that that's the case, because I would much rather be comfortable and have my life work out, like just being honest. But that's not how it goes. At least in my experience, it isn't.
You know, I kind of liken what you were talking about with the fog to this experience I had, because I'm definitely afraid of heights. At the Grand Canyon, I pushed my whole family to get there and go on the skywalk. And, you know, that's the glass where you look straight through, sheer drop to the bottom. And I get there, we're out on the glass. Well, I'm not. I'm on the corner by the wall. And everybody else is out there on the glass. And I really had to talk to myself, because I'm a big believer in pushing past fear. And I'm always telling people, get out of your comfort zone. What you want is on the other side of fear. Yeah. And I just kind of knew it was a really important moment for me, that the heights I was going to go to in my life were like the fear that I was feeling at the Grand Canyon. And that if I could get over that fear, then I could climb higher to my purpose and what it is I'm stepping into. And I know, like, that's a big analogy, but that's just what came to me. And so I pushed, I got out on the glass, I got my selfie, and then went back, because I was just like, well,
that's enough.
And then I had my proof, and then I was like, no, I made myself walk the perimeter. And then at the end, I pressed my face to the glass. And that was so freeing in so many ways. I think it just, I don't know, it was this analogy of, you know, what you want is on the other side of fear. You got one foot, I had this vision. I have one foot on one side of the Grand Canyon and one on the other. Well, if I want to get to the other side, which is where everything I want is, I have to jump. Like, I have to leap. Otherwise, I'm either going to fall, crash and burn in the middle, or I'm going to stay behind in my comfort zone. Yeah. So I just loved your analogy with the thick fog, but I think it's good for people to really see that fear and call it out, because you're just limiting yourself.
Oh, it's so true. And that's where, even circling back to what you were reading in the bio, where this whole notion that we're not meant to do this alone came from. Because for most of us, our tolerance for fear and discomfort and pain is higher when we're in community. When we know that other women have gone before us and it's turned out okay for them, or when we know that other women are feeling fear but doing it anyway, it kind of just makes us more bold. But when we feel like we're the only one experiencing it, it's very, very easy to make excuses, to fill our life with things that distract us from our true purpose and that give us a reason. It gives us a cop-out to not have to take that next step.
Absolutely. What would you say that your overall main message is that you want people to get out of your book?
Well, the book itself really was the catalyst for this whole other conversation. The book is really written to the individual woman. And this phrase, get out of your own way, is really the message that carries through. But I think what I really want people to know is that they aren't alone. And then if we expand that out to what it evolved into as far as our community and our events, it's that we're not meant to do it alone. Not only are you not alone, but if you're choosing to isolate yourself and feel alone, that's not how it's supposed to go, sister. It's just way more fun, and we're going to go further faster if we actually step into collaboration and supporting one another, and allowing others to support us, which I think is actually tougher for a lot of women, is allowing help or asking for help.
What are some ways, because I feel like a lot of us that are female entrepreneurs do feel so alone in this space, because has been a world run by men in the past. So, I think a lot of times we may feel like women are catty, or they don't have our best interests, like we're competing with one another. How can we come to the conversation of what you and I try to promote, which is, let's build each other up, let's support one another, let's rise together, versus this other conversation where women are like, oh, I hate working with women, women are catty. How can we change that conversation?
Okay, a little tough love. It starts with you. And I think you know this, and you practice it as well. You're always going to get more of what you are focusing on. So if your vision is women have hurt me in the past, women are catty, women are competitive, and that's exactly what you're saying on repeat every day, you're going to find more of those women. But I love to challenge people when they say that, when they make a blanket statement, women are X. I'm like, that's weird, because they're not in my world. They're just not. Now, have I ever met a woman who was kind of had a competitive mindset? Of course. But I actually take that as an opportunity to reflect inward and go, okay, where am I still holding on to maybe a little bit of competitiveness? Or where am I judging a woman for how she shows up in the world? You've got to be willing to look at yourself first if you ever expect your environment to change, or the way you view people to change. Because we're all doing the best that we can with the skills and the resources that we have to offer. But that really started to change for me when, number one, I started to change my conversations, that instead of saying women are, I don't know that that was ever truly my story, that women were competitive, but I definitely had a lot of fear and more of like insecurity around being around powerful women. And that all had to do with how I viewed myself. So I had to be willing to look there first and ask myself, why? Why was I judging myself? Why was I putting other human beings on a pedestal and creating this storyline that I wasn't enough? Because if I was doing that to myself, you better believe that when I looked deeper, I was doing that to others. And there were others that I would say, well, they're better than me. And then I'd be like, okay, well, they're worse off than me. And that just cannot exist if you're actually committed to collaboration. And this is something that we talk about all the time, that, it's got to become more than just a hashtag that we throw around. I see so many women's groups where it's like community over competition. Okay, great. But what happens when that woman who's doing something similar to you gets an opportunity that you wanted? You got to check yourself and check your ego. If that triggers something in you, have grace for yourself, but be willing to do the work to dig up whatever insecurity, jealousy, judgment is underneath that, because that's what has to go first before we can ever actually get to a point where we're living in like a true environment of collaboration. And I still have work to do. I do the work every day, but I still have work to do.
Now that's some real talk right there. Now we're putting it out there and getting to the nitty gritty, because it's true. First of all, you're going to find, like we spoke about on the Natalie Joe podcast yesterday, you're going to find evidence of what it is that you're looking for. Like if I want to find evidence that, let's say that my husband is cheating on me, then I'm looking for it everywhere. If I want to find evidence that he's awesome, he's a great man, I'm looking for that everywhere. It's what you're looking for that you're bringing to yourself. And so I think there again, if you can also look at that woman and look at all the positives and celebrate her when she succeeds, you won't feel so competitive with her, because like my mentor, Kathy Savage, says, it is basically, if I'm celebrating you, I'm more likely to succeed myself, versus if I'm back hating, jealous, envious, then I'm actually detracting from myself.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just not a cute look. And I think it's okay to be honest. Look, we are human beings. I do not believe that there is a human being on the planet that has never had a jealous thought, or even if they've done the work and that's not their main form of operating now, that they never have jealous thoughts. I don't buy it. Thoughts are automatic. It's what we do with them. So if I notice that, like, I get a little jealous when I see my girlfriend get an opportunity, that's such a beautiful place. Like, welcome it in. Don't judge yourself. Be like, oh, cool. I must have a little work to do here. Let me just investigate, what's going on here. Oh, okay. I saw that she got that opportunity. And immediately, the story I started playing was well, I'm not enough. Or what if I never get an opportunity like that? That's not the world I want to live in. So here's how I'm going to rewrite it. And I know this sounds very woo-woo, but this is the exact work that I force myself to do on a daily basis, because if we just keep covering it up or shoving those thoughts down, that's where they start to fester. That's where they start to seep in, and it's like a cancer that grows. But if we're willing just to be honest and be like, I'm human, I absolutely have judgmental thoughts. I compare myself to others. I still have thoughts that I'm not proud of. I'm not going to put those out there on social media. And it's such a great opportunity to points an arrow straight back at where my next opportunity for growth is. And when I haven't been afraid to go there and do the work of just usually it's a few seconds, just kind of going whoa, what's going on there? And check my own heart, then I can move forward with a clean slate versus carrying that resentment forward, or just even that negative energy, because it's something that it's not necessarily affecting the other person, but you better believe it's going to affect me if I keep just carrying those little tiny judgmental thoughts forward into my day, my week, my month. You better believe that adds up.
Well, it's also a clue as to what it is you really want to do in life. So, then, like you said, you got to do the work. Don't make the excuses surrounding it. And actually, that person took the steps and did the work. Maybe you could ask them instead, what work did you do to get to this place? This is something I also aspire to do myself.
Yeah. Oh, that's so beautiful and so true.
Yeah. I think it's so true, because when you think, I don't know, some woman out there is just drop dead gorgeous, you could never look like that, you could never be like that. I mean, sometimes you have these human thoughts.
Yeah.
And my friend would always say, if somebody's feeling like that towards me, then they're hating upon what it is they truly want. You know what I mean? So don't hate upon what it is you truly want.
Yeah. Yeah. Or, I mean, that's such I think an automatic response for a lot of women. If we actually look at what's going on there's something we really admire about another woman. And it's actually a great opportunity to pause and be like, yeah, I admire that Linda is just such a bright and shining personality. And you know what I love about myself? I love that, I am too. I'm confident too. I'm a powerhouse too. So it's almost like acknowledging, hey, something resonated with me about that woman. My brain took it and automatically compared me to it. But instead, I'm going to just take a step back and go, yeah, that woman is awesome. And so am I. And actually just build, I think that's again where we start to break some of those just patterns that get automatically ingrained, and leave both people in a place of, you know, elevating you both. And I think it's really important to do that for ourselves, because a lot of times what our mind is doing is it's looking at evidence, it's looking for evidence that we're not enough, because a lot of us have that story, you know, gets planted from a young age of why we're not enough, we're not worthy. And so the brain is just always looking for evidence of that. And when it picks up on evidence, like usually that translates to me feeling bad about myself, but it's actually evidence, exactly what you said, of where I want to go or something I aspire to be more like. So if I can reframe it and go like, thanks, brain, thanks for picking up that evidence of something that's possible for me too. If she could do that, or, you know, she can look so confident in front of the camera, gosh, I bet I could learn to do that too. And when I started to really break down those automatic comparisons that my mind would make, it set me free. It just set me free to be exactly who I am and who I'm not, and to love all of it so much more.
I think a lot of it too, if you really, like you said, dialed down to it, it could be feelings of feeling less than, of, you know, because you're feeling, because this person's so great, I have less, like the scarcity mindset. And really, there's room for all of us to shine at the table when we are walking in our unique purpose and our gifts. And I think if you focus more on celebrating one another, that, and less on diminishing, that you're going to come into your greater purpose a lot.
Yeah, so true.
So what is this, you know, you wrote this book. I mean, you didn't expect it to evolve like this. Tell me some of the magic that's happened since you just stepped out in the universe and said yes.
Oh my goodness, where to start? It's just been incredible. I think, you know, just even initially, the book for me was a pivot from focusing on the health and wellness industry. I've also done work with Kathy Savage. Love her. Love all that the Savage girls and that message stands for. And I was really pursuing a fitness brand for a long time, for many years, and then just really was feeling called to pivot. And that was scary, because, you know, I'd invested 6 years of my life into building this brand. And then I was going to step out and be like, hey, I want to talk to you all about something different. And so the book was that opportunity to pivot. And what was really funny, I think God has a really good sense of humor, because I started to make this pivot into really this message of Powerhouse Women. And then on the other side of it, I think because I had done something different, you know, I had stepped out, I published a book, I started hosting an event. It was completely different from others in that industry that I had come from the fitness industry. And I ended up getting like almost, you know, within a couple months after, 2 opportunities that were more tied to fitness, where I was asked to be an ambassador for Lululemon, one of my absolute favorite companies. And then I got an award, a local event here, called Fitposium, and I was their 2017 Fitpreneur of the Year. And it was like this moment where I stepped back and I was like, man, these are all the kind of opportunities that I was, if I'm honest with myself, I was chasing before. I was trying to, you know, find my place and just step into my purpose, thinking it was fitness, when I just had to be honest, as I started to feel that chance to pivot and lean into that, even though it did feel scary. But it, oddly enough, started to set me apart. And I still was able to participate in the fitness industry, but now get to speak more from like an entrepreneurship level. So that was kind of cool. And then, God, I mean, just so many things. I know you mentioned Lori Harder. I mean, now just through the journey that the last 3 years have brought, the next thing I'm stepping into, which is super exciting, is a collaboration with her on something that we're not sharing quite yet, but at the end of this month we will. And, you know, that was just something that was never going to happen before I took that bold step and just started to lean into that feeling that I was meant for more, that maybe there was a little bit different path than the one I thought I saw for myself, and just was willing over and over and over to do the uncomfortable things as far as taking action. But I think, Linda, if I'm like really, now that I'm reflecting back, the most uncomfortable part was looking at all this stuff we're talking about as far as limiting beliefs and judgmental thoughts toward others, or just the stuff no one wants to talk about that we all have as human beings. It was doing that uncomfortable work that created space for the miracles, the abundance, the opportunities, far more than any business success or achievement. It's been all doing the inner work to figure out what's still in my way, because there's always like a next level of it.
And so what you said just proved our point earlier. It's just like a full circle moment right now.
Yeah.
That you could have sat back. Who am I to do this? You know, Lori's so great. I'm not, like, or hating upon Lori because she's so gorgeous or she's so well spoken, or whatever reason it is that you're feeling envy. But instead, you stepped into celebrating that, and now you're collaborating together. Isn't that more of a win-win than the past ways that women have behaved? Like, it's just so beautiful to watch it unfold, how you stepped past your fear, you stepped into what your heart was calling you to, and now you're having this beautiful collaboration, which we could all be a part of. We could all be collaborating on beautiful things together.
Yeah, that was such a beautiful way to bring that all together. I love that.
Yeah, I mean, and it's just such a good example of, if we all come to the table, we all have gifts, we all have strengths, we all have a purpose, and yours might be a little different from mine. I have things I'm not that good at, like handwriting. My handwriting looks like a doctor's, I mean, and so I have things, that I don't shine in, but maybe that's the area that you shine in. So that's how you make a beautiful thing happen. You can't do anything alone. Like you said, you can't go through life completely alone. You cannot achieve a huge vision alone. And I love this whole concept of Powerhouse Women. Now I've got to dive into that word. I think a lot of us are afraid of that word, powerful. As women, we might think that sounds a little masculine, or people are going to think we're bitchy because we're powerful. How can we overcome that?
Okay, I love that you say this, because even I resisted that word. So the word actually popped into my mind. You'll get it because you're in fitness too. After this amazing spin class, when I was just like, rah, like the endorphins were flowing, and I had actually written the whole book and I didn't have a title for it. And that word powerhouse popped into my mind almost, as like just this, I could like see it on a book cover. And then my mind stepped in and was like, whoa, hold on. Because I actually have a little bit more of I don't even know the words to use for it. I'm not an overpowering personality. I'm a people person. Like, I will hug you if I meet you. You've been warned. I'm a hugger. So that wasn't how I described myself. But as I sat with it more, I actually just saw the opportunity to open this conversation where, like, I invite women, myself included, to actually take and claim that title for themselves, to see, what it is to be a powerhouse is actually to be very in tune with, what are your gifts? What are your skills? What are you uniquely made and put on this earth to do? And how can we use those to impact other people in a positive way? So almost taking this term that could be used as like very masculine, I laugh because the place I see it everywhere now around town in Phoenix where I live, there's like this billboard. It's for a lawyer, and he's like on a Harley, and there's flames, and it says like powerhouse attorney. And I just giggle to myself because I'm like, I kind of love that it does challenge our minds a little bit, but I think it's a cool opportunity to start a conversation with women about how capable they really are. And that was the message of the book. Wasn't, here are the 10 things you need to learn in order to become a powerhouse. No, it was actually, let me point you to the things that are already within you that make you a powerhouse, that make you already equipped to do the thing you want to do. Now let's get going. So it's less about you need to learn these new skills in order to become something, and more about let's tune you into what's already inside of you, because we all have at least the fundamental things needed to take that first step toward our vision or our big idea or dream.
And as women, I think sometimes we're just afraid of that, our power. We know we have it. I think
Yeah.
we're a little bit afraid. Like, you know how they say sometimes people have a fear of success?
Mm-hmm.
This is a reality. Sometimes I think you know you have the power. You're just a little bit afraid to use it. Of how it might seem to your friends. Like if I am shining my light so bright, maybe I need to dim it down so this person feels more comfortable, because we're all about having everybody like us. And, I think a lot of us are anyway. I don't want to speak for everyone out there, but, or, being worried about, am I going to repel men because I'm powerful?
Yeah.
I think there's fear around that word. And I think that it's a conversation to be had. This is just a short tidbit of that conversation. And I created my name first. It was ChickFit. Okay. ChickFit Studio was the name of my business.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. And I remember one day, I was in Kathy Savage. We were in some kind of a mastermind and we were creating taglines and all of that. That's actually when I came up with the Sisterhood of Sweat. And then I never knew I was going to write a book, have a podcast, have a huge gym. I didn't know all this was going to happen out of Sisterhood of Sweat. So I just remember this lady said, "You're no little chickie." She's like, "This is not a little chickie, workout. You're totally Sisterhood of Sweat."
I love it.
She's like, so it's a more empowering, it's a more powerful word. It's strong. And I think as women, we are strong. We should own it and not be apologetic about it.
Amen. I love all of that.
Oh my gosh. This has been such a good conversation. I'm just very excited about your event. Can you tell everyone what it's about? Share the excitement.
Yeah, it is. It's my favorite day of the year. It trumps my birthday, Christmas, New Year's Eve. It's like all three of those wrapped together and dipped in glitter. That's kind of what it feels like. So the Powerhouse Women event is really where we take this whole conversation, everything you and I have been talking about, and really put women in a room, and we have that conversation live. So not only is the focus to give women the tools, the resources that they need to get out of their own way and into action around their big idea, even if they never want to have a business or they're not sure what their bigger purpose is. What I would say most women come to the event for is to meet those like-minded women who are having conversations like this one, who are committed to collaboration. And they know that just by being in that environment, it's going to rub off on them in a positive way and make them better as mothers, as wives, as employees or business owners. And it's just the most beautiful and fun day. And there's so much love in that room. It really is special. It's hard to describe if you've never been. But we really are committed to providing women the tools, the resources, and the connections that they need in order to take the next step on their journey. Because we can talk about, like, we're not meant to do this alone, but it's very hard to facilitate true interaction in a digital world. And I think, even though we're more digitally connected than ever before, I think a lot of us are craving in-person connection, even if that feels a little bit scary, getting out of our house or flying across the country to attend an event like this. But I just honor the women who step into that, because to watch the business collaborations, the opportunities, and the growth that has happened in just the 3 years we've been doing this event is incredible. So September 7th is the day we're all getting together this year, and it's in Scottsdale, Arizona, which is a beautiful place in the fall. And it just really is such a beautiful day. And I know that I've succeeded if women come out of that event and are in action. Because I think I don't know about you, I've gone to plenty of events where I get really motivated and really excited, but then if I don't actually put what I learned into action, then what was the purpose of that? So we really focus on setting women up to take that next step, whatever it is, however big or small it might be, that deep down, you want to take, you just need a little support and accountability.
Where can everybody get tickets, and where can we get your book?
Yeah, the book is on Amazon, so you can find it there. It's just called Powerhouse Woman. If you want a signed copy, I always keep a limited number on hand, and if you want a little love note in it, you can just send me a message, and I'm happy to send one your way. And then our website has all the event info, and it's just powerhousewomen.co/event, or you can just go to www.powerhousewomen.co, and all of the goods are there.
I love it. I love it. What are 3 simple tips you can leave with the audience on being a powerhouse woman and claiming your power?
Oh, goodness. That's such a great question to end on. And to narrow it down to just 3. Okay, so I would say the first one is to carve out time every single week to get quiet. Whether for you that's meditation, maybe it's actually your exercise routine, but something where you minimize distractions and noise in life. Because I actually think our best next ideas are always trying to get our attention. And I don't know about you, but as a woman, I'm always multitasking. Like there's always 100 things on my mind. And so I find that actually my best inspiration and even just reconnecting to my true vision comes when I carve out that time to just get quiet and recenter. So finding time to do that. I would say the other thing is just really look at who you're surrounding yourself with and realize that if you don't have, we call it a girl gang. It's like, your tribe of really, but a girl gang, they will like aggressively support your goals. Like these are women who will not let you quit on yourself. And if you don't feel like you have that, I actually recorded a podcast episode. You can go to our podcast. I think it was episode number 5. And the first thing you have to realize is if you're not currently surrounded by that, it's on you. It's your job to intentionally seek those women out, build those relationships, because the women who are going to be that kind of support for you absolutely want to be your friend. You just got to show up, and they're not going to come find you at your house.
Just kind of like good food isn't going to come find you.
Exactly. You gotta
prepare it. You got to seek it out.
They don't know you want to be their bestie, so you'll have to like let them know and then, seek them out. And then the last one I would say, and this is the biggest, and it's stretched me maybe more than the others, is to invest in yourself. I don't care if that's just right now. It doesn't always have to be financial, but some of my biggest growth has actually come from financial investments, coaches, programs, courses, events. But for me, it really just started with podcasts. Listening to podcasts like this one, maybe purchasing someone's online course if you love their work, but invest in yourself. At the same time, this is a great opportunity to invest in other women. Because if you want others to one day invest in the products and services that you're going to offer, if you want to be a powerhouse in business, then, a great way to start circulating some of that energy is take the first step and invest in programs and services, courses that other women are offering that are just going to grow you, because it's a win-win all the way around.
I love that. And I just want to acknowledge you so much for being such a beautiful soul, for going after your vision and creating this space for women to unite.
Oh, Linda, you are just such a gem. Thank you for this opportunity to hang out with you. You're now a member of my girl gang. This is how it works. Yeah, exactly,
Awesome.
Girl.
Awesome. And you are part of the Sisterhood of Sweat for real.
Oh, thank you. I'm honored.
Awesome. Well, thank you for listening, guys. Thanks for coming in on this powerful conversation today. And I just hope that in some ways it helps you to own more of your power and seek out deeper and stronger relationships with women. Make sure to leave a review in iTunes and let Lindsey know how much you enjoyed her conversation with me today. And thanks again, everybody. Thanks, Lindsey.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.